Turns out there are three more ways to find the operating cash flow: the bottom-up approach, the top-down approach, and the tax shield approach. The bottom-up approach says that we start at the bottom and then we go up and only subtract, so we add back depreciation, right? Net income plus depreciation. In the example we just looked at, that would be $7,920 in net income plus $8,000 in depreciation. This gives us $15,920, the same number we found on the last slide. How does the top-down approach work? Essentially, we start from the very top, from the sales revenue, and then we only subtract the expenses which are necessary to calculate the true profit for the year, or the operating cash flow. So sales revenue minus costs of producing. We don't subtract depreciation, we kind of skip it, and then we jump straight down to taxes and subtract those. When we do the math, $50,000 in sales revenue minus $30,000 in costs and minus $4,080 in taxes, that again gives us the same result, $15,920. And the last formula, this is actually formula number 4, that could also be used to find the operating cash flow, is called the tax shield approach. There is no specific order, like it's neither bottom-up nor top-down approach. The formula says, look at the difference between the sales revenue and the production costs, multiplied by 1 minus the tax rate, and then you add the so-called depreciation tax shield, which is the product of the depreciation amount and the tax rate. So depreciation tax shield means how much we're saving in taxes by being allowed to treat depreciation as an expense, right? When we are including depreciation as an expense, it lowers our taxable income, and so we are able to gain by paying less in taxes. So the depreciation tax shield is sort of this extra term that we add to sort of after-tax income that shows how much of a difference it makes when we are allowed to treat depreciation as an expense, as opposed to the case when we don't use it as an expense, right? If you put all numbers in this formula, so open parenthesis 50,000 minus 30,000, close parenthesis, multiplied by open parenthesis 1 minus 0.34, close parenthesis, plus 8,000 times 0.34, gives us $15,920. So once again, it's exactly the same answer as we got for the top-down approach, for the bottom-up approach, and in the formula we used on the earlier slides, which is how the operating cash flow is defined in our textbook. So it doesn't matter which approach you use. If you have a question, calculate the operating cash flow, you can pick any one of these 4 approaches that you like. So, question for you, which approach would you use? What's your favorite approach? Usually my students tell me immediately, oh, the bottom-up approach. And then I ask them why. And they always say, well, it's only 2 numbers. And then I tell them, you know what? My favorite is the last one, the tax shield approach. And then they ask me why, and I tell them that this is the easiest one. And then they are all confused. So take a look at how the bottom-up approach works. It's true that there are only 2 numbers, but you're not given the net income. you need to go through the entire income statement to first find the net income, and only then you are working with just two numbers. Then students often tell me, okay, fine, I'll use the top-down approach. It's only three numbers there. And I tell them, you know what? Are you ever given taxes? No. You're given a tax rate, but not the tax amount. To find the tax amount, you again need to go through almost every row of an income statement until you can calculate the taxes. And then after this kind of discussion, the class sort of agrees with me that the tax shield approach seems to be the easiest one to use. Or at least there are no preliminary calculations you need to do first. Because typically the sales revenue is given, the production costs are given, and the depreciation is given. You don't need to calculate anything first before you use this OCF formula. But in general, it's completely up to you. All approaches, all formulas, all four of them give the same numerical answer, and you can use whichever one you like better.